Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming. I'm Dell and this is from the Depths Designer. And in here first I'd like to have a quick little discussion before we do some building. I might split this into two videos, we'll see how we go. It's something that came up and the comments was simple weapons and using them in the campaign. Is it fair? Are they overpowered? Etc. And I thought in preparation for my next ship, I thought I'd do a bit of weapons testing. So we're on my little weapon test bed here. Whoops, it got a bit close, but the weapon test. So we've got some simple weapons. So if we go around, and this is the live fire area, so we'll be a bit careful here. So we have that's actually the laser. Okay, doesn't matter. We have the standard laser, which people I'm sure recognise. If we give everything a quick little fire, I think we should be able to get that going. Keys, man, keys. There we go. You see there's a delay and then it fires. And then fires for some time. So whilst that beam is running, it's got basically 1600 damage a second. So theoretically, if the beam was on there for a minute, which it's not because it's got that fire time and you miss, but we're going to just ignore those type of bits. It's 96,000 damage a minute potential. And it only costs 100 resources. So, you know, that's your laser, not autocannon, laser. Then the autocannon we just saw firing. No delay to the firing, but it effectively has a rate of fire of 180 rounds per minute with 500 damage. So that's a potential 90k damage a minute. The standard autocannon goes out, and the Deepwater Guard do use those, and a lot of basic ships use those. So for 25 resources and effectively one block, although it does take up free space, one block, that's 90k damage that's doing. Now I tend to put these onto a turret with 3 of them, so that's effectively 180k of damage potential a minute. And you know, they're reliable, don't use much ammo, and they have good range. They will hit things out to 2000 meters. The laser is limited to 500 meters, and it's got that delay. It is more accurate in that if the laser is pointed at the target, it will damage it. But you know, in general, the autocannon I think is actually more overpowered than the laser, in my opinion. Anyway, so what do we need to do to build a equivalent to an autocannon in advanced cannons? So here we have an advanced cannon, nothing overly special. So it is a 5-barreled, let me just bring up the here again. So it's a 5-barreled 63mm. Now I chose that because with the ammo I have gone with on this, which is generally a hollow point solid to give as much kinetic damage the same way as the autocannon does, so no HE. So just doing and at small sizes, you know, you could put HE, but we're just making something that's equivalent to the autocannon. So this is doing 194 rounds a minute rate of fire, 554 damage, so it's about 107k damage. But it costs 435 resources compared to 25, and considerably more blocks. Does it work? Yes, it does work. If I can get into the gun, let's come out a little bit. That looks a bit better. Yeah, that's noisy. So it rapid fires and is semi-accurate, so that would be the equivalent to autocannon, but you can see the difference. We're what, nearly 18 times the resource cost, and obviously complexity size. You can't just put this on a two-way turret and get it aiming at anything that comes in range. You've got to build a specific turret system with mantle it and everything to get this, and it's still only the equivalent of the autocannon. So you do get a lot of people saying about, oh, just put feeders on direct. So this is a very simple cannon. Well, let's get me my carry. So what we have here, nice simple cannon, 60mm, 150 resources, so we have brought the resource limits down considerably, but it's only got a rate of fire of 35 with a 462 damage. It's that same shell, so it's a hollow point, just trying to do damage. I use the hollow point because it gives you an automatic 10 armor piercing to anything it hits, which is good against wood. Not good against metal, but it's good against wood. Anyway, so it's not the equivalent. You would need to get up to the damage 5 of these for every 1 autocannon. In theory, yes, it does. It fires okay. Let's have a. It's a little. Obviously fires at a much slower rate than the other one because it's got no auto loaders. The 171 cooldown is the key. Now, as long as you've got ammo, it will keep firing, and it is fairly small, so you could put lots of these. It's got 4 of the feeders on the system to let it go around, so it does okay. You know, but you would still need a lot of them. But ideal, this would fit on your two-way turrets. So that's, you know, it would work. But you'd need a lot of them. But it does fit in with certain aspects. You could reduce the gauge of it, but there is. I tried changing the gauge, and when you start again. When you reduce the gauge too much, the bullets aren't effective and the loaders just can't load in time. So I'd stick with the 60. You might you could go for a twin 30. That does actually work as well. We'll just try that as well, just to compare. One good thing, you haven't got to wait for ammo to load. So that's a twin 30mm in comparison. Let's now go and give that a test fire. One good thing, as I say, you haven't got to wait for it to reload, so I can test it straight away. You might not see in that firing, but it can't actually keep up. The 4 loaders can't actually keep up with the 2 barrels. You'll notice there's a stutter on occasion. If the loaders were working okay, everything would fire at the same time. Because I haven't set a rate of fire limit, it would be continuously firing, but it's not. There's a stutter. It fires twice at the beginning, and then the guns go out of sync. And that's a sign that your loaders cannot keep up with the fire rate. So you'd need more loaders, which then defeats the object of having direct loaders. You know, something like, if we just go to 6, although it's not really going to be effective. I'm not expecting this to work. You'll mostly find that only 3 or 4 will fire, then it will go totally out of sync. Let's have a try and get in line. There we go. In actual fact, that's got a very good Civil War Gatling gun effect, that has. But yeah, definitely can't keep up with it, so yeah, I would stick with the 160mm and just go for multiple of these. If it comes to it, I might upgrade change some of my systems to use something like this, because this is just, you know, too big to fit in like the planes, etc., except as a main weapon. Okay, next, I then thought, since I'm doing AA, and this is about AA guns, I thought I'd go for something a little bigger. So now the ammo itself, if we go and have a look at the ammo, whoops, is timed fuse, still a hollow point head, so if it does hit, it definitely won't, there's less chance of a bounce, and it will impart quite a bit of kinetic damage. But anyway, the main point about this is the HE and frag. Now, this is not a discussion about the actual makeup of shells. There's a number of different possibilities. You could use, I tried flak, but flak doesn't work very well until you get into larger calibers. But these small calibers, I think frag and HE and airburst close to the enemy is a better way to go and just get a high rate of fire. So anyway, prevaricating as always. So this is a 95mm 4-barrel. Costs 490 resources, so it's got quite a few coolers in there. 99 rate of fire, which is reasonable, and 1117 damage. Now that does assume the fragment and the HE burst damage, so we're not really going to get that, but allowing for hits, I'm going to ignore that type. It's too complex and not easily to work out what the chance of hitting is. Anyway, let's keep it simple. So 110k damage a minute, so it's still only the same in theory as the autocannon, only a bit better. The autocannon was 90, this is 110, but it's a little bit different, longer range, and I quite like it. It is using auto loaders to keep up. We'll do a bit of firing. Yes, all the other guns are firing as well, but that's why it's a live fire area. So I think it's okay as a medium range flak gun dedicated to that type of airburst weaponry. I think that's suitable. So it's the equivalent to what would be the in real time the old 40 buffers or something like that. So next I went on to something a little bit longer range, bigger barrels basically. So I did a bit of testing. First of all, using let's get this right. So let's go back. The 95mm here was chosen because it could do a nice shell with the auto loaders. Once you start getting above the 100mm, and the next two guns sort of show this off, you really want the 2-meter loaders. If you want to have the auto loaders, you have to really change the shell. So the next two, both are 174mm twin barrel. The first one, 1815 res, 815 res, so they are identical resource amounts, but you'll notice this one has 4685 damage and this is 1770. 30 rate of fire, 120 rate of fire, so 4 times the rate of fire. Now this is where it can be confusing, but 140k damage a minute potential, 212k. So theoretically, yeah, go for this one. Let's go and have a look at the shells. So this is the first one. As you can see, nice AP capped, solid timed HE frag. So this isn't purely a designed for aircraft. This is to a mixture of aircraft but also tank out ships. Hence it's got an AP head to be able to get through wood, and the armor piercing of this shell is enough to get through a bit of wood. The second shell, yeah, a lot smaller because it's got to fit in a 1 meter. So literally we just got one HE head. Now I could change, but the base bleeder reduces the cooldown significantly, so you know it's better to, I think, to have the base bleeder. with the time fuse and the HE head. The issue here, the time fuse takes up a lot of space. But the fire rate is significantly better. You can see the difference though is the space that is taken up with all these ammo loaders. On here I basically use that up to a degree using cooling. Now it's the same resource level, but this would be a little smaller than this one, you know, because of the loaders do take up a lot of space. Other advantage, the one with loaders rather than belt fed would continue to keep on firing. You know, they're gonna they haven't got to reload. These ones, once you've run out of ammo in your clip, you basically have to wait for it to reload. This one's just going to keep on at a lower rate, keep on firing as the weapons load up. Now you might think, oh, I've got a lot of loaders here for the number of barrels. Well, again, I did a bit of testing, and my way of testing to see whether you've got enough loaders, because the numbers sometimes are not easy to understand, is what you need to do is fire them with an unlimited rate of fire and see if the barrels, when they're firing, they go out of sequence, or do they get to the end of their cooldown and there's not a shell ready to fire. Normally with multi-barrel cannons you can see because they go out of sequence. If you've got your loading correct, they should fire in like 2s or 4s or whatever. Now I have actually set the rate of fire here, so they do actually alternate, but when testing I put that to unlimited and see do they fire in pairs, etc. So let's give these a bit of a fire side by side and you can see the difference in rate of fire. Let's get to a nicer position. There we go. So trying to get just these two on their own. No, it doesn't want it. Okay, so now you can see the one on the left has run out of ammo and is no longer firing, whereas the one on the right still going to carry on firing until its ammo is exhausted. You know, at some point it may slow down a little bit, but now the left hand is maybe out and not able to fire for a couple of minutes. So under a sustained, although we had a much higher fire rate, if I come off of there for a second, we could increase the clip size. That's number one. That's an obvious system, but although we had 212 get damage versus 140, this is now no longer doing any damage because it's stopped firing, whereas this is continuing to fire and would catch up. So in sustained combat, this one would actually be better. If you want quick burst fire, then potentially this. So it's a decision of which you want to go. Is it better? No. Is it worse? No. It's different. It's for different situations. So yeah, we'll have a think about it for our own ship. Now, finally, if we go down the end, we have the 36mm by 6. So this is a budget close CIWS, close-in weapons system. Designed for short range, not really done a fire out long. Yeah, really 600, 700. Anyway, 655 res, so it's more expensive than the autocannon. A rate of fire of 642, so significantly higher rate of fire. A factor of about 3, yeah, roughly 3. Oh well, 2 maybe 3. Not quite, 3 maybe 4. Anyway, significantly higher. Damage is lower, 250 damage. Now I wanted to keep the damage up because if you wanted to do this against missiles, you would need to hit for 100 damage. Now these are not airburst, and we'll look at the ammo, and 160k damage a minute. Now ammo choices. I tried 2 different weapons. You get people put really long shells. You know, often they'll put sabot, etc. like that. So I compared these 2 shells. Now this shell has a 354 damage, and this slightly smaller shell, again we're just using hollow point, just for this testing. This one has a 250 damage, which is the one I chose. Now why? You go, oh, I'll use the 354. The bigger one has a lower rate of fire. So the smaller one, the rate of fire goes down to about 514 in the same gun. Now it does, in theory, it would have a longer range and have slightly better damage. But the rate of fire, that rate of fire is down, and with this type of weapon you need to get as many bullets down range in a shorter time as possible. Because it's close in. This would be intended to be used at the 5-600. You might only have a couple of seconds of firing before you have to rotate and reacquire the target. So you want maximum fire rate. So anyway, let's give that a quick fire just to show what it's like with those 250 damage. Putting a fair bit of lead down range. It can fire for quite some time. You can see the loaders are not depreciated. Now, although those top two are not actually, the ammo's not going from them, I found if I didn't have them, the rate of fire went down. As I say, sometimes working out loaders to guns can be a bit awkward. The figures that it shows here, oops, let's try that again. The figures it shows here for auto loader read time and cooldowns doesn't sort of gel at times. So anyway, that could be a little cheap close in weapon for finishing off aircraft. Anyway, I didn't use crams here. Now my other idea, because I did test them, crams using timed fuses with a very large gun and firing HE with a timed fuse, it was reasonable against aircraft, but it was a bit of luck. Any faster aircraft, it just could not aim in time, and it was a bit of luck whether you got that big HE shell to burst in front of an aircraft. Generally, it was okay against slow aircraft, but fast aircraft you need a higher rate of fire, something which can higher velocity, gets a good chance of actually hitting or getting close to the target, basically. I'm sure some people have done crams, and as I said, I did try it and it did sort of work, but I wasn't happy with it, to be frankly honest. Anyway, discussion. Do you have some viewpoints primarily on these simple weapons? Are they too powerful? A lot of the designs, Deepwater Guard, use this autocannon especially. A lot of the aircraft, etc. And they basically are very powerful. I mean, you're getting damaged at 2,000 meters, and you know, they just keep on firing. And I've used them in my own aircraft because they are very damaging for their resource value, size, weight, etc. Should these get reduced? Or I think they have in the latest dev patch, I haven't tested it yet, but they have increased so that the standard firing shell has the equivalent of 10 of these gauge loaders, cooling built into it. But you still need even if they did that, you'd need all these auto loaders, the barrels, gauges, etc. You'd still need quite a lot of resources. It might still similar to here, maybe a little bit less because I can go with less cooling, but yeah, you'd still need a lot in comparison to an autocannon. And then the simple laser. Is that OP? Now, I think that the autocannon is more OP than the laser. The laser, it has that delay to fire before it can fire. Yeah, have to keep it on target to do damage. The autocannon, it's firing lots of shots out and it's spread out. It's like a shotgun effect. It's a lot easier to get damage. The laser, if you can keep it on target, does do damage. It is very accurate, but it only works at under 500 meters. The autocannon goes a lot further. So yeah, I have been using both of these in the campaign because maybe on aircraft, to keep the size down, they work basically. On ships, maybe I will change over to one of these two designs, the autocannons and the lasers. Anyway, put your viewpoint down in the comments. Let's have a little discussion about simple weapons. Should they be used in campaigns? Are they overpowered? They're in there, the enemy are using them, so my view is the enemy uses them, I use them. Anyway, that's it for now. So until next time, I will now be doing a quick little build video and put that up next. Until later, keep playing the game and have fun.